one is the minimum total horizontal stress. Okay, let's go a little bit further. So this is in general. All right, now let's go to a particular case. And let's say that in this case, the maximum vertical stress is higher than the maximum horizontal stress, and this one is higher than the principal total minimum stress. And let's say further that, let me make this 3D. So I'm making a cut here of this block. This minimum horizontal stress is being applied in this direction. In a direction which is, we can go a little bit further here and say this is the north, this is the east, and this is going down in depth, and this SH mean is in direction east-west. Okay, now you have a lot more of data than before. Can you tell me what the shape of the balloon is going to be if it were to be inflated at that condition? Mr. Tozer, you have a...
It'll be stretched out on the east-west axis. That's where the weakest force is.
Okay, like you mean like if this is east-west here, it would be like this, something like that?
Yes, the other will compress it along those two. So those include.
Okay, and what's your reasoning behind that hypothesis?
So if SH means the weakest force, the other
Yeah.
two are the stronger ones. They're pressing it more than that is. So
Okay. Okay.
To stick out the most.
Okay, so I like your logic, but your answer is not correct. Your logic is going in that direction. Any other suggestion? No? Well, you have to remember, very similar to what Mr. Tozer said, is that nature is always lazy and always will have to do the minimum amount of work. So in this case, the minimum amount of work is going to be to push against the minimum principal stress, because this one is the lowest. And because of that, if the easiest thing to do is to push against this stress, a balloon, disregarding any strength of the rock, in this case, will inflate, coming out from the paper as a flat ellipsoid growing in the direction up towards the north and south, but always pushing against SH mean. So probably I cannot do this very well right now, but this will be something flat like this. And it may be a little bit counterintuitive that it kind of like, it looks like it's growing in this direction, in that direction, and those are the highest. But we'll see later on that makes sense. It's not really that it's pushing against that direction. It's just that it opens up like this, and when it opens up, it's just easier to, as it opens, to grow in this direction, in that direction. But really it's doing work always against the minimum principal stress. And that minimum principal stress, we're going to call it S3, and we're going to see that always hydraulic fractures are going to tend to be perpendicular to the minimum principal stress. And basically, we just see it's a hydraulic fracture. A hydraulic fracture always will tend to open as a plane perpendicular to the minimum principal stress. And in this case, the minimum principal stress is a horizontal stress. And because of that, the hydraulic fracture is vertical. Okay. We're going to see, and we're going to discuss a lot about hydraulic fracturing, and you're going to see that it's going to appear in most of the topics that we talk about. And this is the first one, which is a horizontal stress, which are usually different than a vertical stress. So, if they are different, then we are going to see that, in general, in a particular place, in which we want to investigate what are the stresses. We know how to calculate SV, that one is easy, but we may also want to know what is the maximum principal stress and the minimum horizontal principal stress. Because depending on that, for example, is how hydraulic fractures are going to propagate. So you really want to know the direction of these stresses, and you need to know also which one is the largest and which one is the smallest, because that's going to dictate also how hydraulic fractures propagate. So in order to fully determine the state of stress at a given location, we need three values of the stresses. SV, SH min, SH max. Not only that, but we also need to know their direction. SV, it's easier, right? Because it's going to be vertical always. But we're going to see that there is going to be something that might change a little bit with that, but let's not talk about that right now. You know that vertical is vertical, but you don't know in which direction the horizontal ones are going. You don't know if it's east-west, north-south, 20 degrees from the north towards the east. That varies from place to place. So in general, also, we're going to need not only three values of the stress, but also three directions. And only when we know this, and we could add pore pressure here, but let's not make it more complicated, that's what is going to fully define the state of stress at a given location, and hydraulic fractures, wellbore stability, and many other geomechanical processes are going to depend on that state of stress. Okay, so we know that now that there are three different stresses. We started with pore pressure, then we added total vertical stress, now we added two more. So we're going to call these stresses and we're going to order them by their magnitude. We're going to say that the maximum principal stress, we're going to call it S1, and the least principal stress, we're going to call it S3. And this one is going to be intermediate. All right? With this classification now, I'm going to say that I am in a place with normal faulting stress regime whenever the maximum principal stress is vertical and the minimum principal stress is horizontal. Whenever this is the case, I'm going to say I'm in normal faulting conditions. Most sedimentary basins, and actually, I should say, petroleum producing sedimentary basins in the US are in normal faulting conditions. In most places where hydraulic fracturing is done in the US, the fractures are vertical because the minimum principal stress is horizontal. But not everywhere. And there are two other cases. Let me go to the complete opposite here, which is called reverse faulting, sometimes also called thrust faulting, in which the maximum total stress, or the maximum principal stress, is going to be horizontal, and the minimum is going to be vertical. Of course, intermediate is going to be also horizontal. These places are places in which there is quite a bit of tectonic activity pushing the ground sideways. For example, when places where you have mountain ranges, the mountain ranges are there because the plates have been pushing against each other for quite a long time, pushing some of the rock to the surface. But in those places, there may be a significant horizontal stress that makes that horizontal stress to be larger than the vertical stress. In such a place, what will be the ideal orientation of a hydraulic fracture in a place with reverse fault? It will be flat, right? It will be like a flat pancake. I'll get back to this in a minute. And the last one is called strike slip. And the maximum, again, is a horizontal stress, intermediate is vertical, and the minimum is horizontal. In these two places, you have vertical hydraulic fractures. In this one, you have horizontal hydraulic fractures. Are you guys familiar with the San Andreas Fault? The San Andreas Fault is a large fault that crosses California on the valley, which is I don't remember the name of the route, but you have number 1 on the coast, and then the other one is 40, something like that. I don't remember, but it goes through Bakersfield and all of that. Along that there is you have the San Andreas Fault, and that fault is a fault in which you have predominantly a horizontal force pushing against another horizontal force, making a large shear fracture in that location, and leading to places with strike-slip faulting regime. So we're going to see that this is going to be very important. It's going to be very useful for us also to tell us, for example, in which direction to put a horizontal wellbore. I think I have 2 minutes, and I'll try to see if I can get to that. All right, let's see. Have you guys been to Midland? Anyone did an internship in Midland? I see some people raising their hand. Here in this website, RRC, Red Rail Commission, GIS Viewer, you can see if you were living above a wellbore. Look, I'm zooming into Midland, and I see the wellbore. One quick question. What is the direction of the minimum principal stress here? The wellbores are drilled in a direction such that fractures are perpendicular to it. Therefore, the minimum principal stress is in this direction, about 15 degrees, 20 degrees from the north towards the west. All right, we'll start talking with this on Wednesday. See you guys.